the Fed came out with their meeting minutes today, and at least acknowledged, people I think are reading a little bit too much into this. They acknowledged today that there is some inflation going on.
Yeah.
And they talked about a potential, and they said months from now, meetings from now, that they could potentially talk about tapering the purchase of equities and that sort of thing. So, and it's going to crack me up here because people are going to be like, oh, well, they've been screaming about the Fed, then how they need to taper, they need to raise rates and all that stuff. And now they're freaking out because the Fed's just talking about potentially mentioning it in the future. Like there's literally nothing that came from today's meeting other than the fact that we're seeing some rises in prices in certain areas. We might taper later on down the road, but it's still business as usual. And that's essentially what happened. But people are, obviously taking it and spinning it in ways that they need to spin it to I guess, preach their narrative or whatever. But to me, I'm still bullish as hell. And I think today was just another good dip buying opportunity.
Yeah. In the level 3, we had mentioned that today would be interesting and if it would bounce back and if it would stay. I was worried about the 3 p.m., the Fed and the release of their meeting minutes and what they had to say.
Yeah.
Because typically it doesn't go well.
No.
There's always a sort of negative response after that.
It doesn't matter what they say.
No, you're right. It doesn't matter what they say.
It really doesn't. Even though I feel like they've done an incredible job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the job they've done is not going to be, you can't assess it until the story's been written.
Yeah.
Because when, let's say if 3 years from now, when we look back and we know how did inflation play out, how did our debt play out, how did all that happen, how did the economy return, it seems like they're doing a good job, but you never know. I mean, they're doing the best they can with the information they have.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they're still smarter than us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah. I mean, we can sit here and theorize and make opinions and whatever else, but
could you imagine if we were running the Fed?
No. I mean, I could. It might be a lot of fun.
They're like, the guy with the mullet? What the?
To quote them, they said a number of participants suggested that if the economy continued to make rapid progress towards committee's goals, it might be appropriate at some point to upcoming meetings to begin discussing a plan for adjusting the pace of asset purchases. And that's according to the minutes from the April 27, 28 Federal Open Market Committee meeting that was published yesterday. So, or today, sorry.
Yeah.
I think, again, people, in my opinion, are looking at this in pockets and saying, well, gas is up, well, lumber's up, and iron's up, and all this other stuff, and not really looking at the big picture. And I think that that's what the Fed's really trying to do. Yeah. And God bless them, because I think that if they reacted based off of certain areas or certain pockets in the market and didn't really pay attention to the big picture, then the economy might have grown a little bit slower or a lot slower than it has right now. And it's nice to see that, in my opinion, this has been a really quick bounce back. And I think to just stop it all right now doesn't make sense. And I think that we still have 8 million people that are out of work. You can have opinions about that. But I think that until that's what the Fed's really most focused on, is getting people back to work, getting the supply chains back in order. And, if they taper or raise rates, that slows things down, and that's not what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, my concern is the latency of everything and how it's going to play out. We talked about hospitality industry where they're struggling to get people back.
Yeah.
Things like Uber, Airbnb. It's really interesting because you would think people would be chomping at the bit to just make some extra cash or make money. And then how long can this spending continue? Savings that is an all-time high, but spending can happen very quickly, and potentially we can be in a position where the savings is gone.
Yep.
And so those are all things to consider, and really the case for why you just need to be diversified.